So firstly, I'd just like to introduce my fellow teammates. On the right-hand side, we have Seth Halloran. He's our main style guy. And in the middle, our developer, Colin Gillespie, better known as Brevin to the BSV Developer Society. We are part of an IT services business from far north Queensland, Australia, that have maintained a keen interest in Bitcoin and blockchain technology over the years. We are firm believers in the untapped potential of the original Bitcoin protocol. WeatherSV started as a proof of concept from an idea I pitched at a startup weekend in 2015, aimed at utilising technology to drive efficiency in the agricultural supply chain, helping minimise waste and maximising profit for producers. For an example, in our region has many banana farms, yet it is quite possible that a banana can travel 4,000 kilometres just to end up in a local store. Market research shows that most consumers, if given access to this information, would make purchasing choices that would encourage new distribution models that reduce food miles. Around this time, I was also researching the potential of Bitcoin in streamlining business processes and was fascinated with concepts such as coloured coins. It became clear to me that the way to solve many of these issues was to connect stakeholders to a common interface that offered unique benefits inherent in the properties of Bitcoin's underlying technology. The following year, a report released by KPMG and other entities took a deep dive into the state of the Australian agtech sector. It covered many of the opportunities and challenges faced by the industry. It highlighted the potential to use resources more sustainably while increasing revenue for producers and other stakeholders. The stated challenges, such as collaboration, data security and ownership, as well as communications, were further validation in our belief that some of these fundamental issues could be tackled with a range of technologies, including low-power wireless, IoT, and Bitcoin. Low-power wireless technology, combined with innovation in IoT sensor and automation devices, stands to dramatically decrease the barriers to entry in expanding the available reach of machine-to-machine communications, even in some of the more remote areas of the planet. During the next couple of years, I became quite frustrated with Bitcoin's path and spent time looking into the possibility of alternative blockchains, but felt they lacked either the economic, technical, or governance models of what appealed so much about the original Bitcoin protocol. The birth of Bitcoin Cash revived some hope in realising the untapped potential of Bitcoin, but it was the release of the BSV roadmap where the path forward became quite clear. Soon after, we started seeing websites, images, and test apps appear on the BSV network. It was an exciting time for us as it reignited our passion for this technology and the potentials that lay ahead. I could see that with some of the plumbing being built on a platform supportive of real utility, that a business such as ours could start to build on our ideas and test some of our concepts. Our initial proof of concept laid out in this plan detailed using services, primarily from Unrider, to integrate a live local weather station so that we could autonomously transact the data to chain and be able to index and utilise that data. As we wanted to understand how to use Bitcoin in this process, we figured we did not need to connect to a live weather station, so live station, so that we could autonomously transact the data to chain. To a live weather station at this time, and we could access open climate data to achieve our requirements. Although unknown to us at the time, this pivot was fundamental to the WeatherSV platform and allowing us to connect with 40,000 weather stations from around the globe. With 2 to 3 solid days over the next couple of weeks, we had a weather report for Cairns autonomously broadcasting on-chain, largely thanks to some of the libraries and services available for use on BSV. Our project attracted some interest from others in the BSV society, which led us to think about making all the stations available on our platform, enabling others to fund the provision of their local climate data and join in the fun. Our local weather updates, broadcasting hourly, had us reasonably rated in 4th spot on the Bitkom registered app list, and we implemented a plan to build a site that we hope would see us take the #1 spot from Mimo. We're doing about 600 transactions per day at the time. We released WeatherSV on the 3rd of April with a tweet and a prayer, and within 2 days had surpassed Mimo and quickly grew from there. This graph from Coinmetrics shows a steady rise in transaction volume to July. It also details some of the mishaps we encountered along the way as scaling became our main focus. In recent times, our platform and dependent services have become far more resilient, and as such, we have sailed through the most recent stress test without skipping a beat. Over the last 6 months or so, we have broadcast more than 10 million transactions on-chain. We are now broadcasting from over 5,000 active channels around the globe and processing about 120,000 transactions per day. Being a proof of concept, we did not have a specific business model for WeatherSV. Our longer-term profit model was based on concepts in which weather data is part of a larger problem. Having said this, it is becoming increasingly clear to us that climate data on-chain has potential value to industries and applications. Weather and climate in general is a hot topic which I believe creates many opportunities that could help drive utility and adoption of BSV. We are now starting to enter the next stage of our proof of concept, which will use the economic layer of Bitcoin to incentivize data provision and sharing. Adding more sources of data will allow us to create more accurate and comprehensive data sets, which in turn have higher potential value. As the economics of storing on-chain data mature, the ability to increase the types and sources of data will rise rapidly. I will now go through a few concepts we are currently working on implementing and other ideas we are working towards. Early in our progress, we enabled on-chain and off-chain API access to the data, enabling collaborations with other applications. We developed a demonstration on-chain widget, and since then have had our data integrated into other platforms such as Agora and City on-chain. Others are also in the pipeline at the moment. Just as we are paying for API access to our current data source, this in itself can be a source of revenue if demand is high enough for the data provided. It is worth noting that many industries today pay for access to weather data, and particularly where historical and more detailed levels of data are required. Recently, we completed our much-anticipated integration with MoneyButton. It has allowed us to connect the platform with our users, which is a fundamental first step in exploring the ideas of monetizing the contributions of the users to the platform. We are also very aware that some users do not want to profit or commercialize their investments in WeatherSV, so we will always ensure that users can choose to enable these types of features. Some ideas may include bulk data downloads, tonic power ad spaces and channels, uploading of other relevant content, and the possible trading of channels. Currently, we're working on integrating tools such as this geofence, which in this example allows a user to select a geographic area, create a download of all data based on selected metrics and date range. Our system will then totalize the price into a single MoneyButton swipe. If the user proceeds, then the contributors of that data will be rewarded proportionally. These same tools can be utilised in other parts of our platform. And we have just released our single swipe tool to enable users to easily select multiple channels they want to support for a selected time period with a single swipe. The value of data can be increased significantly through applications that process it into usable information. This is a test example from an ecology company that we partner with that has utilised data from WeatherSV to make an animated heat map of Europe during the heatwave this year. We would like to provide a marketplace for these types of tools so they can be used to process selected data sets, and the authors of these tools be rewarded in BSV for their use. WeatherSV in its current form is just an initial stage of what we hope to achieve in utilising the power of Bitcoin and other technologies. Currently, the platform is creating a base or macro layer of data. We plan to soon start building on this data from a range of other sources. By connecting devices such as private weather stations, we can extend the breadth and veracity of the base layer data. Many other devices today are climate aware and can be incentivised to contribute data over time. These may include mobile devices, vehicles and sensors used in a range of industries. The majority of IoT devices used today record either pressure or temperature data. It's not hard to imagine a not too distant future whereby an electric car could have a Bitcoin wallet integrated into its system. It may, for example, realise that a market value exists for current climate conditions in its location. So it sends the data and might spend that reward recharging when required. I'll now run through a brief case study of a rich agricultural region near and dear to us, which is the Atherton Tablelands in far north Queensland. We are often asked, why would I pay for something that is free? So firstly, I would like to evaluate how free it is and what we actually get for nothing. Our main source of weather data in Australia Our main source of weather data in Australia is from our Bureau of Meteorology. It costs Australian taxpayers over $300 million per year. The area shown on this map is approximately 30 kilometres east to west and 20 kilometres north to south. It has a population of about 30,000 people and outputs close to $500 million in agricultural produce. The local population would contribute around $750,000 per year to the Bureau, yet there is not one live weather station available from the Bureau anywhere in this map, and the closest are to the north and south and have considerable variation in their local climate. The station to the south is actually provided by Queensland Fire and Rescue, a state government-funded organisation. To overcome this problem, our local council funds free weather stations in the main centres displayed here. So we are now also paying via our council rates to get some local real-time weather data. As this is less than ideal for industries such as agriculture, which depend heavily on climate conditions, many farms, businesses and enthusiasts have independent private weather stations in this area. They are generally of a high grade that is comparable to the accuracy and most of the professional stations. Starting off with the 3 council-provided stations as our macro layer of data, we can then start adding additional layers to the data set. That one, which can now start to produce a very detailed map of the weather conditions throughout this region, which we know has demand and value. We can utilise the Bitcoin protocol to ensure ownership is retained by the providers of the data and reward those individual contributors if value is realised, even as small parts of a much larger aggregated data set. I would imagine that many similar cases exist around the world today, which may create opportunities for local integrators to provide some improved service in their regions via the WeatherSV platform. We felt very honoured to be used as an example of an on-chain dataset in an article co-authored by Ian Grigg titled Artificial Intelligence Implementations on the Blockchain, Use Cases and Future Applications. It would appear that blockchain-based datasets are well suited to neural network type applications, which are utilised in climate modelling and forecast applications today. Bringing data on chain related to space weather, our oceans, the environments that impact our climate enable the potential to create better methods of weather prediction and forecasting. The demand for improved weather models are high, and we envisage they will continue to rise for the foreseeable future given the concern over climate change. It is also worth noting that utilising blockchain can help resolve many of the trust issues that are arising due to the divisive opinions about the causes and impacts of climate change. In conclusion, I would just like to give a big shout out to the services from Unrider, Attila Aros, Ryan and the Money Button team that power our application. Not only are these services themselves first rate, but the support they have delivered us through this journey has been nothing short of sensational. We also would like to thank Zero Comps for their design and merchandise, Open Weather Map for the data supply, and of course Enchain, CoinGeek and Bitcoin Association, not only for putting on these types of events, but for their commitment to seeing the potential of the original Bitcoin protocol realised. And lastly, we want to give a big thanks to the amazing BSV Society itself for all the credible support and feedback we have received through our project. Thank you.